One of the new features about version 3 is the variables list. This has been redesigned from the ground up to make it easier for configurers to use and set up SpecView. There's a whole host of features in here to make using SpecView to configure things much faster. I'll just run through a very few of them because there is a ton of stuff in here. As you can see from this menu, there's lots that you can do. The first thing you'll notice is there's lots of funny coloured blobs and symbols and things. This is to show you about logging, alarms, shortlist and read-only, so you can see at a glance what's in either of those. You can also turn on those attributes from this list, as I'll show you in a moment. The variables list, like the configuration mode, is now live, or can be live if you so desire. We've renamed configuration mode to be edit mode, and as you can see it's online. These are the values of those items. If we look in here, there's real live values. I can even change values by right clicking on them and changing their values straight from the variables list, which means that you don't have to put a value down on the screen to tweak it. If you're commissioning, you can do it straight from the variables list. As I said, logging an alarm. If I want to add the CJC temp to logging, I can just double click. There it is, that's now being logged from this point onwards. It's as easy as that. Changes apply on the fly, so that is now being logged. Other things that we can do are to sort things in a variety of ways. Let's have a look at this big loop here. This is the usual order that you've been used to in SpecView for ages. It's the order that we defined, but it makes it sometimes quite difficult to find something. You've got to scroll down the list to find it. Well, you can sort things sorted alphabetically up, so you know where that is. You can sort things down if that helps. Things like working set point are up there, but I'll just leave that in its normal mode for now. We have another view of the variables list, and that's called the flat list, which I'll just show you here. What this does is it sorts all of the parameters of all of the instruments next to each other alphabetically, either up or down. What this allows you to do is to quickly find things that are the same and do stuff with them. So, for example, if we use the find mechanism to find process value, we can see them here. All four of them are together, and I can put them on the screen. There's none of the top left corner business. I can just drag and drop them. As you can see, live values. You can drag and drop lots of things. I just use shift click to select all four of them. And you can drag them on the screen, and there they all are. Those look a bit close together, so we can invoke these big handles, spread them out a bit, which makes that quite handy. The spreading mode also means that you can build screens quite quickly because SpecView remembers settings. So for each lot of things you can put down, put that in the wrong place, you can do that. So you can quickly build recipe screens and stuff like that. So let's go back to the hierarchical list for a moment. As you can see, all these loops are open because I was accessing parameters in all of them. So there's lots of stuff open. In addition to find, we've also got replace, which can replace in the addresses as well. So it's a quick way of readdressing a lot of instruments or changing TCP/IP addresses, for example, very quickly to be done. User variables and SpecView variables are now sorted separately. We've got different sorts of user variables now. We've got count up timers, which I can start this thing off. If I just kick it off like that, you'll see that that'll just carry on counting there. We've got enumerated types where we can define our own enumerations, things like on, off, partially open, closed, stuff like that. We've got new ways of creating user variables, which are quite handy, and the variables list is used in many places in SpecView, and at all times you can create new user vars or new instruments. So for example, if you're in strategy controller and you think you need a new variable, well, you don't have to come out of strategy, you can just create a new user variable in the variables list and off you go. The drag and drop off the variables list also applies everywhere in SpecView. So for example, strategy controller, let's define a little boolean that monitors when one of these inputs goes above a certain thing, which I'll use in a later demo, but let's do it now. So we need the strategy controller, add an event, value-based event. What I'm going to do is pick up input 4, and I'm going to say if it's greater than 25 or something like that. So greater than 25. OK. And if it's greater than 25, I'm going to set a boolean, so I need to download a specific value, and I don't have the boolean yet, so I can just say new boolean over 25. There it is. Drag that on the screen. I do need to set its value. That's on. And I'm going to create the second event as well. In fact, I'm going to copy this one and edit it to be less than or equal to 25. So less than 25. Just to do the opposite. That one's going to be set off. Off. OK. OK. Now I did all that in Strategy Controller. It's all straight away live. You can see the boolean there, you can see input 4. If I grab hold of that thermocouple and make it go above 25, you'll see that the boolean's gone on straight away. So that worked straight away, it's all live. Let's just bung that on the screen, and you can adjust all this stuff, and there it is. So you can see, let's just do that again. There we go. So that makes it easier to debug stuff because it's all live. So let's get rid of that stuff. As mentioned, there is a lot of stuff in here that you can do. We can group variables together into instruments. That's the subject of another video later. There's a lot of tooltip kind of information on here. Some of it can be useful. For example, if you hover over this bit at the bottom, let's just get it so you can see it. It will tell you what Modbus addresses are in use, how many user variables and stuff you've got. That also applies to here. You can find out the address of something quite easily. You can't see it because it's scrolled off the screen. If we make it wider, you can see its TCP/IP address and what kind of instrument it is, and how many parameters and stuff. So there's quite a lot of useful information on tooltips to help you float around. Next video will be all about trend charts. Click the link down there to have a look. See you in a mo.